I grew up in a time when they would slap "the game" at the end of a title. Not even joking, that's what they actually did. Picture this. You're like 7 years old, you're with your mom shopping because you had to be there, and then you see it. That's the console you happen to have at home, and that's your literal favorite movie. Mom doesn't say yes all the time, but you go up to her and she says yes. But this wouldn't be your first movie game, oh no. If you were anything like me as a kid, that was just the first of many. There are a lot of movie games out there, and I mean a lot. I mean, there is so many movie games. But this game, is actually why I started calling them movie games. These are called movie tie-in games. I briefly talked about them in a video or two. I've talked about it a few times, but we haven't really dived into it. Like, really dive into what they are, who made these games, where'd they go, and most importantly, were they any good? That's what I want to figure out, because as a kid, we're playing these games and we're like, wow, I am in the world of my favorite movie. And that sometimes overpowered whether or not it was a good game. It was automatically good. And that's where the nostalgia factor comes in. I remember these games being great, but were they actually though? Or is nostalgia those good memories of it sheltering me from what was probably a dumpster fire? It's probably a bad idea to go back and discover that these games were actually bad and realize that I've been living a lie this whole time, but I've got to know. I've got to know. I've gone out and collected some of these movie games I remember playing as a kid, so that I can relive these memories again and maybe answer some of these questions along the way. I mean, the vast majority of them I never even beaten anyway, so I'm really excited to see what these games are like after all these years. It's 2026, and a lot of games have come out over the years, mostly original stories, AAA video games. AAA means that it's a high budget blockbuster, basically guaranteed for success. They're spending thousands of millions of dollars on big teams, marketing, Hollywood level production on voice acting, and at times motion capture. Video games didn't just catch up to movies in popularity over the years, they surpassed them. You don't really see tie-in games as much anymore though. We got Lego games. Indiana Jones The Great Circle came out somewhat recently and that's doing pretty well. Saber Interactive is making the highly anticipated Jurassic Park Survival, so I guess they are still around? Not really. These games are actually great examples of game developers still using IPs, movie games, but those games aren't really coming out alongside a movie release. Tie-in games. These are what tie-in games were mostly doing back then. The era of movie tie-in games. They were prominent to the late 90s through the early to mid 2000s. They were notoriously known, and I just figured out while doing the research for this video, notoriously known for being rushed so that they can come out with the film in theaters. Let me rephrase. Games were merchandise for movies, like toys, t-shirts, and cheeseburgers. Use your imagination with this one. They were slapping movie titles on everything. For some of these games, I remember there being like a code in the manual to be able to win a free ticket to go see the movie. In fact, I remember it being vice versa, where movies would have little mini games on the DVD menu. Do you remember that? I always thought that was so cool. Or there would be an advertised website for a minigame, like with Shrek. There was this bowling game, which is like a fever dream. It was so long ago, but I remember like finally being able to read and comprehend things and asking my parents if they could just put this game on for me on the computer, and it was great. Remember that one Scary Maze game on the computer? good times. I'll try to find some footage for it. But things like that were what movie games were all about. And these things were everywhere. PCs, consoles, Game Boys, on your phone for goodness sake. RIP to the OGs. They were even on Nokia. That one was a deep cut. I'm sorry, but I wasn't kidding when I said they were everywhere. There is a rabbit hole of what these games could be. I was looking up like platformers versus adventure games versus like puzzle games, because I've heard these terms before, but I never really categorized them like that myself. A lot of these terms are combined to be adventure, platformer, survival, horror. Titan games were really just like regular games in that way. Game devs would pick from a couple of these popular categories, smush it together and make a game with a Ratatouille skin on or something, I don't know. Movie tie-in games were a great source for promotion, to say the least. Can you imagine the first guys to come up with this? What even was the first movie game? I wonder if it's a movie I've seen. A superhero movie does sound like it would get people's attention. Oh, and it seems like it might have done well on the console that I was on. The publishers were like, guys, hear me out. Superman, the video game. They were cheap forms of advertisement, especially at the time. They were considered to be low risk because of it. I mean, hey, it worked on me. Those video games were like my whole childhood. When you're that little, your parents don't know what kind of games you like. But they know you like SpongeBob, so what do? Oh yeah, they get you Battle for Bikini Bottom on the PS2. Life was good. But I will say though, I missed out on some of the most iconic, older mainline PlayStation games. But I just wasn't old enough to really have a taste for them, I guess. Jak and Daxter? What the heck is that kangaroo on his shoulder? God of War? He looks like freaking Avatar. And that's why major publishers, after securing licensing rights to these IPs from movie studios, they would assign this type of project to either an internal studio, their own game developer, or contract it to a third-party developer. IP means intellectual property, like a design or idea owned by somebody else, just in case you didn't know that. The publishers are kind of like agents for game developers, except rather than just doing the work to introduce you to someone and be done, publishers were more of a business partner that would handle the funding and marketing so that the game devs can solely focus on the game/project. You'll see a trend in active publishers pursuing movie licenses. THQ, Activision, and Ubisoft were some of the most common publishers for movie tie-in games. I'm sure that at least one of these might sound familiar to you because 2 out of 3 of these publishers are still out there kicking. That's technically a lie. THQ still is around, but it's called THQ Nordic now. If you want to know more about that mess, I recommend this video by the Golden Bolt talking about it, but just make sure you finish this video before heading over there. So games were a good promotion for movies, and publishers seeking movie licenses was a reliable option for game developing. Okay, so where'd they go? The answer is really as simple as they died out with time. Games were outgrowing movies. Tie-in games generally were known by everybody to be rushed, making original story AAA video games top pick, generating enough money to outgrow the movie tie-in era. Which brings me to my final question. Were they any good? Well, were there bad ones? Yes. Are there good ones? There were a lucky few that rose to become gaming classics, exceeding expectations by delivering exceptional gameplay and storytelling techniques. This is absolutely game developer territory. These are the guys you want to be paying attention to. Game devs are responsible for coding, design, storytelling, and gameplay. Remember, earlier I said these games were notoriously known for being rushed. If they do all this and we find some tie-in games that are still pretty good, we gotta take note of which studio ended up making it. And who knows, maybe their name shows up multiple times, but will those be any good? That's the question. It's difficult to know unless we play them again. Because we can compare current games with tie-in games all day, right? We know what makes a good game and we know what makes a bad game. The coding, the design, storytelling, and gameplay. The storytelling is interesting when it comes to movie tie-in games, because you think, alright, well they already have the storytelling made for them. So they have it all figured out, right? The film studio does provide a rough film script and early storyboard. They could just go one for one with the movie, which is pretty immersive, but not all of them do that. Ice Age 2 does this really cool thing where they answer the question, well, what was Scrat doing the whole time? While also still following the live events of what happens in the movie. That's a pretty creative way of doing it. Some of them completely do their own thing, which makes them kind of a movie game and a movie tie-in game if you think about it. There are also some that drop the ball completely and just flop. Those would be interesting to see still. Movie tie-in games are one of those things that will always be a big part of my childhood. Whether they were good or bad, it was always a good time. This time though, I want to go back and rediscover one and really dive into why it exists, who made this game, and most importantly, was it any good? I'll save that for the next one. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really wanted to make this video for a while. I learned a lot of things while making this video that I feel like most people already know, and that was the goal. That's what made this so fun to make. If I managed to teach you something you didn't know, hey, we learned this together. And speaking of a while, it's been a while since I've been here on the channel. I mean, I've been good. Crazy life changed since I last uploaded, but I have lots of plans for video. As always, I am backed up on video ideas. I just need to make them. Keep your eyes on the horizon because more stuff is coming soon. But until then, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.